All right, all right. Salutations, everyone. Salutations. I hope everyone is having a good day so far. I just decided I took a little break, which is not something I do very often. We're entitled to two 15-minute breaks a day, and I don't take any that often. So I said, let me go ahead and use this opportunity while it's kind of fresh in my mind to do a little bit of commentary on some trending topics I got to catch up on since I've been back from my trip to New Orleans, and I really appreciate the responses I've been getting on that. I had such a fabulous time, and as you can see with the commentary that I put out. So please make sure you check that out. So you could bask in the experience that I had on during that trip. And also, thank you so much for all the birthday wishes that I was given as well. God bless you all. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to catch up on some. I'm not going to spend too much time on in each, but I just want to make sure that I am aware of some of the things that's been talked about. Some of the things, that I wanted to, because there's been quite a few trending topics like Aisha Curry still embarrassing her husband on national TV. But hey, who am I to judge? Their marriage seems solid. They have a great family, but she comes on these platforms and it seems like she's kind of given the implication that she's not where she wants to be as far as I mean, not her career, but as far as her family life, because she says she never wanted to be married or have children. And I know there are times in your life where you may have that stance of not wanting a family, but it changes um, as you get older. So I don't know what her position was at the time when she mentioned that she mentioned that her that Stephen Curry doesn't understand her and understand her position as far as wanting to have children or wanting to have a husband, but you decided to do that. No one put a gun to your head, honey. So I'm just still trying to, trying to figure out where, what her position is as far as whether or not she still maintains that stance, or she just initially when she was younger did not want to have a family, but then as time went on and maybe she kind of knew of the potential jackpot that she was winning, at the time that she and her husband got together, that changed her mind about things. But it just seemed like she just she keeps coming like every few months she decides to drop these bombshells. So I've been, hearing a lot of backlash, a lot of pushback that she's been getting on that. So yeah, so I just feel like, when you're in a certain space in your life, and you feel like you have, because there was a time in my life where I was at a, I didn't want, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have children myself, and I had my son, and I don't, I love my son, but I can't lie to you and tell you that that was a desire of mine, but I also have to be honest and say that he was a slip up, because I have to take accountability of my role in that because I did not do anything to prevent it, and I could have, because it starts with me, you know, and so I know that when you put in certain positions, you have to live with that choice. But you had, like as far as Aisha Curry goes, you had space and opportunity to make certain decisions. Sometimes we have lack of judgment, or we make certain decisions that may not be ideal at the time, but you had time to work through it, time to fix it. I don't know whether or not you grew to love your husband at some point because you have multiple children with him and you acquired this lifestyle. So I guess that, you're kind of settling into that space, and you've been doing it for some time now. So I don't know whether or not, she's being resentful right now and she's um, venting these feelings, at this point, because before she was threatened by the fact that she wasn't getting the attention that she expected to get um, aside from her husband. I think, like she was talking about women giving her husband that type of attention, that she felt kind of jealous of that. And I think she said that I understood where she was coming from at that time, saying that, like, what about me? Like that, I don't think that a lot of people accuse of seeking attention from other men other than her husband. But I took it as she, felt like, okay, well, as women get older, we tend to feel like we're less desirable, and she wanted to feel more desirable to the men, like her husband is desirable to women. So I kind of understood the parallel in that sense, but it just seems like now that, as time is going by, I don't know whether she's regretting if she's having some regrets of her choices. So I've been, hearing a lot about that, and then plus I was, dipping into the whole Tamar and Toni Braxton situation, where their niece, I guess, wanted to come forward to share her story about what she had, of her being SA when she was younger, and Tamar offering her the platform to do so, and her sisters not really being on board with their niece coming on Tamar's platform to discuss that. And I feel like, what other platform would be a safe space other than her aunt's? But it's been this back and forth, like heated back and forth between Tamar and Toni, and Toni in rare form. Having this explosive reaction to Tamar accusing her of sending a cease and desist to her and blocking her from the opportunity to discuss whatever her niece has been through, because I don't know whether because they don't want to make um, any more of that story public, but it's already been public, it's already put out there, and I don't feel like no one should be silent when it comes to this type of story, whether it's family or not. And I think that that's an issue that um, has been a thorn on a lot of people's sides, about how family members or people go through traumatic experiences in the hands of family members, and other relatives don't want you to discuss what happens, behind closed doors, because it's family. But strangers, like I said, strangers are not able to treat you any kind of way other than family. Family's able to get away with it, right? Wrong. So if her niece wants to address this on Tamar's platform, what other way to do it? And I think that is a biasness, or the partiality towards Toni, because she is the the Toni Braxton, the living legend Toni Braxton. And I think that I think Toni kind of showed her slip this time around, just based on her reaction of saying that she's a heavyweight, and just saying a lot of things that wasn't relevant to the subject at hand, and kind of deflecting from the fact that she was trying to block Tamar from having this platform. And I think there's a partiality because of the fact that there are a lot of people out there that don't like Tamar for obvious reasons. But I think that there needs to be a neutral stance when it comes to these type of situations, especially when it comes to family, whether you like the person or not. But I think that Toni slip was showing at the time when she was going back and forth with Tamar. So yeah, I was kind of getting more into that subject, and then also, I heard about Diddy, being sentenced to what, 4 years, and people are still. Well, I mean, his children and certain artists that he signed were trying to convince the judge to give him another chance, but he's had plenty of chances in his life. And I know a lot of times, a lot of people think that they're untouchable, and that they are exempt from accountability, and that they're exempt from being, you know, um, suffering consequences, whether you changed or not. There are still consequences um, that are needed, to be faced, and you have to face the music, Mr. Combs. And so that's the only thing I have to say about that. You have to face the music at some point. Um, because like I said, there's certain topics I don't dig deep into, but I just want to let you, just kind of make you aware that I'm listening and I'm aware, and I add a little bit of perspective as I go. Um, and also, I've been also hearing some back and forth commentary because people are still divided when it comes to the whole Charlie Kirk controversy after his death, and a lot of people are divisive about, because a lot of people feel like his death should not be celebrated. Whether you agree with his opinion on things or not, there's still freedom of speech out there, and I do agree that um, no one's death should be um, considered considered karma, just because he has his stance. And yes, do I agree with some of the things that he said based on the clips that I saw? Because, like I said, I haven't heard of Charlie Kirk prior to his passing. But do I agree with a lot of his stance on things? Absolutely not. Um, but I think it's very far fetched to say that his death was karma, and you can still have an opinion of someone without making mention of that. So, but I'll say that to say that I've been listening to some other commentary from other content creators in another sector, um, and there was a debate between Steve Knight, I'm sorry, not McKnight, Steve Knight, I'm sorry, and of Abba and Preach. Abba and Preach there, and Steve Knight, there are big content creators in a certain sector that speak on various political issues or different trending topics. Whatever comes up, they have very strong opinions about, and they have very big platforms. And so there was this back and forth between mainly Abba, because Preach just stands there. I mean, I'm sure he has a lot to say. I mean, I'm not, excuse me, I'm not questioning his intellect or anything like that. But I think that as far as their dynamic, I think that Abba is more the vocal one, and Preach is just the one that's just been like just stands there and make whatever facial expressions that are relevant to whatever's being spoken about. But it was between Abba and Steve Knight in regards to Steve Knight. It was this whole thing about children, and having access to school lunches, having access to food during the school year, and how children are being deprived of meals, especially from families who are not able to afford school lunch fees or something like that. And it got into this whole thing about using the word starving instead of being children being hungry. And it just kind of escalated from there. And then it also went into Steve Knight believing that Charlie Kirk has the right to his opinion on certain things, because it went into the opinion about um, termination of pregnancy, and how Charlie Kirk's stance was that if his daughter was 10 years old and ended up being pregnant, would he have her terminate the pregnancy, or would he have her keep it? And Charlie Kirk's stance was that he would have her keep the baby because of his spiritual beliefs. And so it just went from there. So my stance is that, again, you can have an opinion on someone else's opinion, um, but you have to know how to back up that opinion. You have to know how to back it up without or knowing how to accept. I know it's hard, but you have to know how to accept when you are at a losing end of the debate. Instead of saying that certain things were taken out of context, or certain things were being perceived the wrong way, where you kind of specifically mentioned that you um, you had an issue with Abba's opinion about your stance on what Charlie Kirk had to say about termination of pregnancy and whether or not, um, a child should keep their a 10-year-old should keep their baby because of their beliefs. So it was just different topics that that was being talked about, and I'm going to just kind of put the links in the description box because that way you have more reference to what I'm referring to. So I just wanted to kind of just give a quick little commentary, nothing too major, just to kind of let you know that I'm in the mix. I'm still in the mix. And please make sure that if you haven't looked at my post already, please make sure that you tune in on Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. I'm going to be interviewing with the Tamara Hudson, singer, songwriter, motivational speaker, cancer survivor, author, entrepreneur, just a force, woman of God, and I am looking forward to speaking with her. This has been a long time coming. We've been back and forth about scheduling an interview because she has so much going on, and so I really am honored that she made the time to bless my platform. So please make sure that you tune in live with um, Tamara Hudson, because she also made this interview a part of a Shiro series that she does once a year as well. So I'm honored for that, and I appreciate her allowing this interview to be a part of that series as well. So please make sure you be on the lookout for that. And so let me get my butt back to work. But on that note,